It's Yolanda The Great. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda The Great, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda The Great, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. It's Yolanda The Great. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda The Great, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda The Great, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea.
What's up? What's up, Diamond Gang? What's going on? Welcome. Nah, Mitch, I was on Wednesday night late. I was on for I think like 3 hours. I was on late. What's going on, Diamond Gang? I know the people will be in here in a minute, but we got a lot to go over tonight. This might be a 2 hour live since I didn't go on Thursday. So, what's up, X? So everybody knows the rules. I'm going to say them quite frequently during the show, but all opinions will be respected. You just can't be disrespectful. Even if you have an opposing opinion, put it in the chat. You could say you're entitled to have your opinion. So, I'm not against that, but I am against the disrespect, okay? So everyone knows we always take it from the last time I was on all the way up until real time. So without further ado, we're going to get this started. So let me add my screen to the stage. Do I want it a little bigger? Just a little bigger. Let's go. All right, Diamond Gang, we ready. All right, so I'm going to take y'all through the highs and the lows of President Trump's Truth Social post, okay? We're going to take it back, way back. Let's go.
He thought it would be helpful to take a brief journey through the insane ups and downs of the war so far, as told through the Truth Social proclamations of one President Donald J. Trump. You'll remember the tough talk from the early days of the war, March 6th. There will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender. And then he added that its goal is to make Iran great again.
Now, I want y'all to listen to these because this is from the beginning, from the start of the war, the things that he has posted on social media, okay?
MEGA. And it was working. The very next day, March 7th, Iran, which is being beat to hell, has apologized and surrendered to its Middle East neighbors. Okay, white flag, war's over. Okay, not so fast, March 9th. If Iran does anything that stops the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz.
Because remember, guys, this was supposed to be a 4 to 6 week thing.
They will be hit by the United States of America 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far. Death, fire, and fury will rain upon them. So, I guess, war is back on. March 10th. 4:07 p.m. If Iran has put out any mines in the Hormuz Strait, and we have no reports of them doing so, we want them removed immediately. Okay? Red line there, no mines. Then literally 13 minutes later, I'm pleased to report that within the last few hours, we have hit and completely destroyed 10 inactive mine-laying boats and or ships, with more to follow. March 14th, Trump announced NATO would join. Many countries, especially those who are affected by.
And best believe I'm playing this for a reason, because what he did to Saudi Arabia, it wasn't right. Let's go.
Iran's attempted closure of the Hormuz Strait will be sending warships in conjunction with the United States of America to keep the strait open and safe. Adding later, this should have always been a team effort, and now it will be. 3 days later, the United States has been informed by most of our NATO allies that they don't want to get involved with our military operation against the terrorist regime of Iran. We will no longer need.
Diamond Gang, once again, he went and made plans without notifying our allies. And Saudi Arabia was pissed.
Or desire the NATO countries' assistance. We never did. So, to reiterate, we didn't need their help, and we did again, now March 20th. The Hormuz Strait will have to be guarded and policed as necessary by other nations who use it. In other words, we're out, not just a sort of coalition of all of us, we're out. 3 days later, a breakthrough negotiation.
Diamond Gang, I do not want to keep stopping to beg for likes. They are free. Please, 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 and thank you. Hit the like, and if you would like to support the channel, the Cash App is pinned. Thank you.
I am pleased to report the United States of America and the country of Iran have had, over the last 2 days, very good and productive conversations. 3 days after that, things hit a snag. The Iranian negotiators are very different and strange. Okay. It April 1st, Iran's new regime president has just asked the United States of America for a ceasefire. One day later, it is time for Iran to make a deal before it is too late. There's nothing left of what still could become a great country. April 5th, open the effing strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. April 7th, in the
Most of the negotiations has taken place not in person, but on True Social. And here's the evidence right here.
morning, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. April 7th, in the evening, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Just after midnight, it was a big day for world peace. Then, the next day, there are reports Iran is charging fees to tankers going through the Hormuz Strait. They better not be. April 10th, the Iranians don't seem to realize they have no cards. April 17th, Iran has just announced the Strait of Iran is fully open and ready for full passage. Thank you. A great and brilliant day for the world. Strait of Iran? April 19th, 2 days later, Iran recently announced that they were closing the strait. Well, yeah. Went on like that until May 3rd, this past Sunday. Trump had a new tactic for opening the strait, which was always open, which we didn't need, which we were going to open, which we decided not to open, which our allies wouldn't help us open, that no one cares about whether it's open. Again, he returned to this idea of a coalition of the willing, if you will. Project Freedom will begin Monday morning. May 4th, Monday morning. Project Freedom is expanding its ranks. Perhaps it's
Operation Freedom was a total bust. There's been no progress in negotiations. Neither side is budging. And this war right now has become political. And by the way, Israel, they are still taking out leaders.
time for South Korea to come and join the mission. Come on in, fellas. The water's fine. Tuesday, Project Freedom will be paused for a short period of time. That was all within 48 hours. Honestly, we could go on and on for 42 minutes for the whole show. There are hundreds of posts, and you can trust exactly none of them.
It is now day 60.
Now, before I start this, Saudi Arabia suspended Operation Freedom. Trump didn't say anything to anyone. And why they suspended Operation Freedom? Because President Trump did not consult with them and did not ask to use their military bases. He just did it. Like he went into this war of choice without consulting with our allies. Time and time again. Now, Project Freedom is back on because Saudi Arabia, they were super mad. I mean, they were pissed. They said, you can't use anything, not even our airspace, because you did this without coming to us first. All right, let's go, Diamond Gang.
9 of the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. Here's a roundup of what happened in the past 24 hours. President Trump announced he is temporarily suspending Project Freedom, an attempt to secure safe passage for commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Trump said the suspension was at the request of Pakistan to see whether or not an agreement with Iran can be finalized. Iranian officials and state media, however...
Did you see that? You see that story he put out there? That was not the case. Saudi Arabia told us no. That is the truth, and that is what happened.
Framed the rapid U.S. exit as a strategic failure and a retreat under pressure, with Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi calling it Project Deadlock. Reports indicate that the U.S. and Iran are closing in on a one-page memorandum to end the war. But Iranian sources have said that talks are still hindered by what they describe as excessive U.S. demands. They noted some progress in indirect discussions with Washington via Pakistan, but not yet at a level leading to an agreement. Trump warned today that if an agreement is not reached, bombing will resume at a much higher level and intensity than it was before.
And today, he basically said that he was going to use a nuclear weapon. Diamond Gang, I got 131 in the building. Can I please get a few more likes? Please and thank you. The likes keep me in the algorithm. They are free. If you would like to support the channel, the Cash App is pinned.
Araghchi, speaking from Beijing during a diplomatic visit today, said that Iran would only accept a fair and comprehensive agreement that protects its legitimate rights rather than one dictated by U.S. military pressure. New satellite imagery analysis released today by the Washington Post.
We have so much to go through and so much to go over. Right now, Iran is sitting at, they said at least, the CIA said at least a 75% stockpile. Everything that was supposedly decimated is not decimated, okay?
Shows that Iranian strikes earlier in the war hit at least 228 targets at U.S. bases, including hangars, barracks, and radar equipment. Military experts cited in the analysis noted that the strikes appeared highly precise, suggesting that Iran has sophisticated targeting capabilities that the U.S. highly underestimated. The report reveals significantly more damage to
They are actually rebuilding their bombs.
U.S. assets in the region than previously acknowledged, and has prompted heated debate over U.S. transparency in the war. A new PBS News NPR Marist poll shows Trump's war on Iran is becoming a serious political liability, with 60% of U.S. citizens disapproving of his handling of Iran, and 61% saying U.S. military action.
I believe, in my opinion, that is the only reason why he has not done anything just yet, for political reasons. Most of the American people are against this.
Has done more harm than good. 62% of respondents said Trump's decisions have weakened the United States' role on the world stage. The findings also point to deep trouble for Republicans ahead of the midterms, as disapproval within the GOP has jumped to 22%, up from 15% in March. Meanwhile, Israel launched over 25 airstrikes across southern Lebanon and the Bekaa Valley today, as well as a strike in a residential area in Beirut that Israeli officials said was coordinated with the United States in an attempt to assassinate Melik Balou.
Boom. An attempt to assassinate another leader. This is Israel's main objective, is to get rid of all their leaders. Once this conflict stops, he either will have to go on the run or go sit his ass down. There are multiple warrants for him. Multiple warrants for Netanyahu. So he wants this to continue, because if it don't, he's going to have to either go on the run or he's going to be incarcerated. I got 172 in the building. Please, 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 can you hit the like? It keeps me in the algorithm. This channel is not monetized, okay? If you would like to support the channel, the Cash App is pinned.
A Hezbollah commander. The Lebanese Ministry of Public Health reported that at least 16 people have been killed and over 20 wounded just today. Hezbollah launched a suicide drone strike near Bint Jbeil in southern Lebanon that wounded 2 Israeli soldiers, while also firing rockets and mortars at IDF positions throughout the day.
We have some pretty significant news right now. You want to know why Donald Trump's Project Freedom ended just 2 days after it began? Saudi Arabia and other American allies rebuffed him to the point where Saudi Arabia rejected and suspended the U.S. military's.
So once again, President Trump did not consult with them and did not ask to use their military bases. So he called on this Operation Freedom and just did what he wanted to do as usual. Well, he got stopped dead in his tracks.
Ability to use its military bases for Project Freedom. That is significant. According to NBC News right now, Saudi Arabia, a key Gulf ally, suspended the U.S. military's ability to use its airspace and its bases to carry out the operation. And other Gulf states were not happy as well. Even a phone call between MBS, the Saudi Arabian leader, and Donald Trump wasn't enough to smooth over the issues. If you have countries like Saudi Arabia saying no to the United States, you can't use our airspace, and what's happening in Iran, that means the Gulf is fed up. The Gulf is completely fed up. Oil prices are too damn high, right? And
so it's not only just NATO now. It's not only just NATO. We will be alienated as a country real soon.
They're feeling the brunt of it. They're getting attacked because of what the United States is doing, and they're saying no to the president of the United States. That is a defining moment in this war. I'll have more updates for you soon. Spread the word, follow along for all the news you need to know about.
Now, again, if you are new here, we always start from the previous day, and then we work our way up to what's going on in real time. Project Freedom is back on, but it was under certain circumstances. Let's go.
The war against Iran is essentially over, and it wasn't Trump that ended it. It was, shockingly, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, MBS. He apparently, according to NBC News' reporting, was furious that Trump launched Operation Project Freedom. They were given no heads up about it, and he got on a phone call with Trump and voiced his displeasure with that situation and basically told Trump, you have to take the diplomatic route. You have to end this. They cannot afford any more damage to.
So when they told him, you got to end this, he came back and he said that he ended it because Pakistan asked him to, because there was potentially a deal. Okay. You guys do know this insider trading thing is being investigated. So they are starting the investigations.
Any of their oil infrastructure. And that's exactly why Trump has made this U-turn now. And it wasn't just that. They restricted their airspace to the United States and blocked the use of the Prince Sultan Air Base in the country. Well, the United States cannot carry out that operation without use of that air base or the airspace. So that essentially ended that operation anyways. Remarkable stuff. And
you can't just keep making these choices without consulting with your allies. That is just total disrespect.
We're learning that Oman was not notified about this operation until after Trump posted about it on Truth Social. That's not how you conduct military operations. So bombshell, shocking stuff here on how Trump has been handling this and how our allies in the region were not in the know of what was coming or what was even going on. So Trump is being forced.
This is insane right here. This is insane.
To come to an agreement with Iran. We'll see what that agreement is. Trump didn't detail any significant or specific points about what the deal would be, just that they are talking and getting close to something. So we'll see what happens here, guys. But he has been forced to do this because they've just taken too much damage in Saudi Arabia, and they've said enough is enough. Pretty remarkable. So the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia will be.
And Diamond Gang, if you can remember, they was hit the day before that. They were hit the day before that. And Iran said it wasn't us. It had to be Israel and the U.S. It wasn't us.
The one who ended this war, not Trump. Good luck with that peace prize. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
Breaking news. Saudi Arabia has just betrayed President Trump. Project Freedom has been collapsed after Saudi Arabia and Kuwait suspended U.S. military access to their bases, airspace, and overflight rights. According to the NBC News and Ryan Grimm, the kingdom blocked the U.S. from flying aircraft out of Prince Sultan Air Base or through Saudi airspace, completely grounding the operation and removing the air defense umbrella protecting ships in transit. And the main thing is Saudi leadership was furious after Trump announced Project Freedom on Truth Social without notifying them. The biggest shock is that the operation reportedly did not collapse because of Iran alone, but because key U.S. allies in the Gulf refused to fully back it. Stay ahead, stay informed with Worldwide News.
It's Wednesday evening. I come to you with breaking news that is the second biggest news since Israel drug us into the.
Now, in this piece, he said quite a few things because, again, I just told you guys, once this comes to a halt, Netanyahu will have to answer for his many, many crimes, war crimes.
This insane war that ran 67 days ago. NBC News is reporting, my sources confirm, that Saudi Arabia 3 days ago told Trump, you can't use our bases anymore. This war is over. And now that's been confirmed. Again, Israel struck first, drug us into it.
Israel struck first, drug us into it. We've been down this road multiple times, Diamond Gang. I need y'all to hit the like, please, and thank you. Hit the like, Diamond Gang, for your girl.
U.S. intelligence, even the IDF told Trump it wasn't going to work, but the Mossad and Benjamin Netanyahu told Trump it was going to.
Boom. This is who he was being consulted by. I keep telling y'all this. There was no evidence of an imminent threat.
Going to work and have a bill of lies. They wanted to drag us into a full war with Iran to plunge the whole region into conflict, believing that once we were fully committed, the U.S. would win the war, even if it took 5 years, and that Israel will be the new hegemon in the region. So Saudi Arabia.
This is what Netanyahu wants. He wants to be in total control. He wants to be that guy. So he got in there with Whitcock, Kushner, and they convinced Trump that this was a good idea. And look where we are today. I'm just saying.
He's been trying to work with Israel for years. Finally understood this was a larger trap to bring down the entire Middle East itself. And
President Trump was the only one that fell for Netanyahu's trap. And now they're putting together a deal that mocks the Obama deal. However, they will be lifting sanctions and also giving them way more of their own money back. They're going to be in a better position than the last deal. I'm just saying the deal that President Trump ripped up, this present deal mocks it. They're just getting more benefits. Let's go.
Stood up to it. This is COVID 2.0 designed to shut down civilization. So this is great news. The problem is, will Israel stage a false flag attack, set off a nuke and say Iran did it?
That part. We can't get control over Israel at all. At all. They were under a ceasefire. Guess what? It didn't even last. They didn't stop. Not at all. They made fake lines. They made up reasons to attack. Let's go.
Attack the U.S. and say Iran did it. Shoot surface air missiles at Trump's Air Force One and claim Iran did it. They've been pre-programming all of that. So we're at a very dangerous juncture right now because Netanyahu has already been indicted, convicted.
He has already been indicted and convicted. Again, I'm going to take this back for the people in the back. I need y'all to listen. Hit the like, please. This might be my last live stream on this because I'm tired of the circle and I'm burnt out.
Say Iran did it. Attack the U.S. and say Iran did it. Shoot surface air missiles at Trump's Air Force One and claim Iran did it. They've been pre-programming all of that. So we're at a very dangerous juncture right now because Netanyahu has already been indicted, convicted. He knows that if he can't keep this war going, he's done. That's why he funded Hamas. That's why Israel created Hamas. Now they've set up Hamas or get rid of Hamas, but they stood down on October 7th. So all the false flags, all the disinformation is coming to a close. Israel's now the most unpopular country in the world, according to Gallup poll. And they're trying to double down controlling our foreign policy. But to all the neocons.
Yeah, their ratings is really going down. His people, Israel, they're starting to see what's going on. Let's go.
Tried to bully the American people, tried to tell us we were wrong. We were right, and you were wrong. So it looks like Saudi Arabia just ended the war. According to all the calculus, that's what's happening. But Israel may do a Hail Mary and stage some big event very, very soon, maybe political session.
And they still may. They are still going after their leaders. They are still trying. And this is what, and I'm going to say this, I said this 1,000 times. Okay. 2 different objectives, 2 different leaders, 2 different objectives, and no backup plan. We don't have no plan. Trump wants out. He said he was bored. Guess what he said? However it ends, I could sell it to the people as a win. So he don't even give a good goddamn. what he tell the people. He gonna sell it to us as a win. Y'all can go for that shit if y'all want to. Let's go.
Nations here in the United States for control. You've had the head of the ADL say a month ago, we use the same energy Israel used killing Hamas with pagers against Americans that say Israel got us into this war, when Israel openly got us into this war. And we're seeing, open call for censorship by Mark Levin and Laura Loomer and all the rest of them, and calls for nuclear weapons to be used. This is total insanity. And thank God.
I got almost 240 in the room. I got 25 likes. Please and thank you. Hit the like. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? I got 239 in the building.
Because enough of us, like myself, Tucker Carlson, and the others, put pressure on Trump, he backed off from, quote, destroying all of Iran forever in one day, destroying their whole civilization in one day, never to return. So that's the reality here. This is the best news we've seen yet. Trump's declared victory 31 times. He said the war is over many, many times. But in the last 3 days, we've seen real difference in a dollar.
I'm burnt out, and I'm tired of hearing it. So, yeah, tonight might be my last one on this because I'm tired of this.
Back to the military, the ships pulling back, expanded deployments being cut back because Trump, as I told you a month ago, finally did it last week, he was looking at a ground invasion to take control of the Iranian.
Trump warns the U.S. will hit Iran with more attacks at a much higher level and intensity if a peace deal is not.
And this is his way of negotiating, threatening over True Social.
Reached.
So I think we won.
Promoting a UFC match scheduled at the White House for next month, President Trump declared victory in another fight against Iran.
We've had very good talks over the last 24 hours, and it's very possible that we'll make a deal.
According to a report from Axios, White House officials believe they are getting close to an agreement with Iran on a one-page memorandum to end the war and start more detailed negotiations.
I'm going to tell y'all right now, even if just the Straits is open, he's going to claim that as a win. When we had, almost 4 objectives, now 5, because the Straits is closed, he's going to get the Straits open and claim that as a victory. There's no regime change. We haven't decimated their military. They are at 75% stockpile. Guess what? Today, they said they was over 100%. We don't have the enriched uranium. Their leaders, the regime is still intact. What goals have we accomplished besides us getting the Straits closed?
The deal would include a moratorium on Iran's nuclear enrichment, the lifting of U.S. sanctions, and both sides ending restrictions in the Strait of Hormuz. An Iranian official said the proposal is being reviewed. Trump insisted Iran has already signed off on his key condition.
Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't.
They're refusing to give it up. Now that we have attacked them in the midst of negotiations for the second time, they are refusing to give it up. And now that they are looking, let me tell y'all something. The CIA gave reports and said that they can live up under this type of pressure. They can survive for the next 3 to 4 months. That's what the reports is saying. The next 3 to 4 months.
And they've agreed to that.
Iran has not said that publicly, and Trump lamented its leaders have backed off past agreements.
We've had some good talks before, as you know, right. And all of a sudden the next day they're like, they forgot what happened.
After one day, the president paused his proposed Project Freedom after apparently only guiding very few ships through the Strait of Hormuz. The Pentagon said a U.S. Navy FA-18 Super Hornet, like this one, launched from the deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln, continued to enforce the U.S. blockade.
So just imagine if their stockpile is where they say that it is and that they can survive up under this pressure and not have break. This war can go on for months and months and months.
Shooting out the rudder of an Iranian oil tanker that the Pentagon said ignored, quote, multiple warnings to stay out of an Iranian port.
President Trump insisted the agreement would also include the U.S. extracting Iran's highly enriched uranium, which is a key component for building a nuclear weapon. When he told us the same thing last month, Iran responded by saying it would not be transferred anywhere under any circumstances.
We've been told by some of the analysts that we've spoken to that, perhaps President Trump's preferred way to wrap up this conflict, to disengage, will be, once the Strait of Hormuz is reopened, declare some sort of a unilateral victory.
Bingo, I just said that. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Everybody's going to forget the war objectives that he came in the door with. And he's going to act like he did some big act by having the straits opened again. Okay? When the straits was open before all of this BS started. Give me a break. Let's go.
For him to do that, what do you think he would need to show the American people for that victory to have some?
And he's going to sell it to some of y'all as a victory, but not me. I guarantee you that.
Some credibility behind it.
Well, he has been very clear, consistently clear, and so has Secretary of State Rubio and Secretary of Defense Hegseth on what the entering arguments are for peace. One is handing over all nuclear material to the IAEA, ceasing enrichment, shutting down ballistic missile development.
It's even stronger now.
Cutting back on support of proxies like Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis, and opening the Strait of Hormuz. If you were to say the Strait of Hormuz is over or is open, it's all over, that would not be suitable answer for many people.
Guess what he told us today? He's going to sell it and we're going to go for it. He's going to sell that to us and we're going to accept it.
Because that would be one element and nothing else has changed. It is my expectation that we have essentially destroyed their ballistic missile production capability. Wonderful.
That's not true, and you guys will hear later on today.
Have destroyed their economy to the point where supporting Hezbollah or Hamas is extremely difficult. And by the way, Israel is hammering that problem themselves. But until you get the refined nuclear material in whatever condition it is, you have not answered the problem that started everything with Midnight Hammer last year and that continues this year, which is, are you going to allow Iran to become a nuclear power? And everyone at the top of the United States government is emphatic about this is an entire impossibility. This cannot be allowed to happen. So I would be.
Here's the deal. Before he ripped up the deal that Obama put in place, we had the oversight. We had people watching them. Okay?
Extremely surprised if the president took that exit because it would hang over him. I'm sure he's concerned about his legacy and his entire drum.
Not at all. Because whatever, he's bored with the war and he said he will sell it to us. However it ends, when it ends, whether we accomplished any of the goals, he's going to sell it as a victory.
Meeting has been Iran cannot be a nuclear power. And to just say the Strait of Hormuz is open, we're going to have peace, that makes no sense. No one would understand it.
All right, I'm going to tell you guys what Netanyahu had to say. We maintain continuous contact with our friends in the United States. No, they do what they want to do. That's what Israel is doing. I speak with President Trump almost daily. My people and his people speak on a daily basis, including today. And I will also speak with President Trump later tonight. There is a full coordination between us. Do you guys believe that there's full coordination between them? I don't. There are no surprises. We share common goals. That's not true. And most importantly, goals is the removal of the enriched material from Iran, all of the enriched material, and the dismantling of Iran's enrichment capabilities. President Trump believes he can achieve this one way or another. We are prepared for any scenario, and this is my directive, the IDF and our security agencies as well. Israel is stronger than ever. Iran and its proxies are weaker than ever. Okay, I want to see what you guys think by the end of this live stream.
Hey, Joe Khalil here, reporting in Doha, Qatar, where we're basically now back to where we've been before, familiar territory. The U.S. is waiting on a deadline for Iran to respond to this peace proposal that both sides reportedly have been working on. The administration saying that they expected a response from Iran within 24 to 48 hours. And we'll remind folks who are watching this what this peace proposal looks like. It would be an end to U.S. military action, an end to Iranian military action. The Strait of Hormuz would reopen, but this would mean a moratorium on Iran developing a nuclear weapon, or essentially enriching uranium for a period of more than 10 years. They would not be allowed to do that. There would be inspections inside of Iran to make sure that they're holding to their word. And in response for that.
Did y'all hear that? This is the same deal. The same deal. Let me take it back. Same deal. The same deal.
Hey, Joe Khalil here, reporting in Doha, Qatar, where we're basically now back to where we've been before, familiar territory. The U.S. is waiting on a deadline for Iran to respond to this peace proposal that both sides reportedly have been working on. The administration saying that they expected a response from Iran within 24 to 48 hours. And we'll remind folks who are watching this what this peace proposal looks like. It would be.
Again, listen to this peace proposal because it sounds like Obama's.
An end to U.S. military action, an end to Iranian military action. The Strait of Hormuz would reopen, but this would mean a moratorium on Iran developing a nuclear weapon, or essentially enriching uranium for a period of more than 10 years. They would not be allowed to do that. There would be inspections inside.
Inspections sounds like Obama's deal. But let's go. The one he tore up, but let's get it.
Of Iran to make sure that they're holding to their word. And in response for that, Iran would end up getting some sanctions relief.
Sanction relief and some of their frozen assets. Again, we had this deal already. So what was this for? That's all I'm saying. Somebody, anybody in the chat, what was this all about? What the hell was this for? We putting together the same deal, but this time around, they will get more.
potentially even frozen assets unfrozen in Iran. So all of that just part of what is a larger peace proposal. Now, if they do end up responding to this and the war ends, that's going to be a major sigh of relief for people living where we are in the Gulf.
Yeah, they're like, we heard this 100 times. We heard this 100 times.
States, because I can tell you that aside from those in Iran, aside from those in Israel and Lebanon, people in the Gulf states have really had their lives disrupted by this war. Even as I'm recording this video, students in the UAE, they're going to school remote right now this week because Iran fired missiles off earlier in the week. People are not going to work here in Qatar, across in Dubai. People's economies, their jobs, their livelihoods have all really taken a major hit. So I've been talking to folks here who live and work here. They basically said they are hopeful, but they're not holding their breath because we have seen deals and deadlines come and go in the past. So they're wondering what we all are. Is this time the real deal?
That part, is this time the real deal?
Or is it another deadline that just goes and the conflict continues?
We have some major news this afternoon, and you see.
So now we're about to get into the CIA report that they released saying that Iran can sustain at least 3 to 4 months with the U.S. blockade, okay? And they retain 75% of their stockpile. This is crazy. Let's go.
CIA intelligence report that's private, according to the Washington Post, contradicts almost all of Donald Trump's claims that he's made publicly about Iran. So the CIA privately believes that Iran can survive economically for 3 to 4 more months under this U.S. blockade. They're not decimated like the president has claimed, but that's not all. Iran also retains 75% of its pre-war inventories of mobile launchers.
Meanwhile, our stockpile's been depleted damn near. If we get into any other conflict with any other country, we are in trouble. Millions and billions of dollars in damages. This whole entire war was a lie.
And about 70% of its pre-war stockpiles of missiles. The regime has been able to recover underground storage facilities, repair damaged missiles.
Y'all heard that. They are repairing damaged missiles. I got 157 in the building. Please, can y'all hit the like? Please and thank you.
They are essentially in just as good of a position as they were at the start of the war, despite Trump saying their economy is crashing, their currency is worthless, yada, yada, yada. Iran is actually just nearly as strong, just without the exact same leaders. And that's what the US CIA believes privately. That's not what Trump is saying publicly. Pretty significant news. Spread the word. Follow along for all the news you need to know.
Listen, I had people come in my chat. You want them to win? You want Iran? No, I want the truth. I lead on truth. I don't lead on lies.
The U.S. has been hiding the extent of the damage to its bases in West Asia, damage sustained by Iranian strikes after the U.S. launched unprovoked attacks across the country. Satellite imagery has finally been released amid a U.S. image.
This whole war is going to weaken us. We are going to look weak as a country. We are going to be alienated. Our allies are going to think twice before they do anything for us.
Blackout of the sites, and the damage is far worse than they're letting on. In fact, the majority of U.S. assets in the region have been completely destroyed. Iran has released more than 100 images of strikes on U.S. bases, images that show.
They release satellite imagery, and we're going to look at it.
Iranian airstrikes have damaged or destroyed at least 228 structures or pieces of equipment at U.S. military sites since the war began, according to the Washington Post. Aircraft hangars, barracks, fuel depots, aircrafts, and key radar communications and air defense equipment were all destroyed across multiple U.S. bases. In total, 109 images were verified, showing precise strikes at 16 U.S. bases, including sites in Kuwait, Bahrain, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Iraq. One person familiar with the damage told CNN, "I have never seen anything like this at U.S. bases. These were fast and precise strikes using advanced technology."
Did y'all hear that? Using advanced technology.
Experts who reviewed the analysis said the damage at the U.S. bases indicated Washington underestimated Iran's military capabilities. Iranian strikes were more precise than they anticipated, and the U.S. left important assets completely unprotected. The New York Times revealed in late March that some bases were so badly damaged that U.S. forces were forced to.
We went over that. I told you guys some of them had to go to hotels and other places. Most of them are inhabitable. Like, yeah, this is what they were trying to keep from us.
Relocate to civilian hotels and office spaces for shelter, with one official saying the strikes rendered some of the U.S. bases in the region too dangerous to staff at normal levels, and commanders moved most of the personnel from these sites out of the range of Iranian fire at the start of the war. U.S. presence in the region has finally reached its breaking point, becoming too unstable to maintain. The U.S. is running out of options in its war of aggression.
Has this war made the US stronger strategically or?
And I just said, this will weaken us as a country. I want y'all to listen to this.
The opposite.
I think it's pretty much made the U.S. Weaker. Ultimately, I don't think this has been exactly what the United States bargained for.
Is it possible that we will end up with a deal that is essentially a return to the old Iran deal?
Bingo, we just went over this. Right now, this deal is mocking Obama's, just giving him a little more.
That President Trump pulled out of in his first administration.
Although it might not be an exact replica of the prior nuclear deal, I think in broad brushstrokes it's going to wind up looking somewhat similar.
Boom, bingo. I don't talk just to be talking. I don't talk just to be talking.
And then the Trump administration is going to be in the position of having to sell that to the American people as being a win.
Are the Iranians?
And he's going to sell it as a win. He's going to sell that as a win, like he came up with this idea and it was the best deal ever. When we already had this deal in place. Y'all could fall for it. I'm not.
Under the same kind of domestic pressure that President Trump is to end the war?
This is a really important thing to focus on when we think about war, because too often.
What up, Michael Cox? What's up, baby?
When we look at who has the edge in war, we only think about militaries. And obviously, the United States military has a significant.
We don't have proof of what? He put the deal out there. He put the deal out there. My Lord and Savior. No proof of what? No proof of what? Put it in the chat. We don't have proof of what? The deal was out there. What he offered. It mocks Obama's.
An edge over the Iranian military. What we don't think is clearly about who is fighting a total war and who is fighting a limited war or a war of choice. In this case,
the only difference is we're going to unfreeze more assets than Obama did. That's the difference. And lift sanctions.
The United States is fighting a war of choice. The Iranian regime is fighting a total war. If they do not win this war, they will be annihilated. And that means they will go farther in the prosecution of the war than the Trump administration.
The CIA reports ain't enough for you? Help me out. What do I need to show you?
The Ayatollahs have an iron grip and they're going to prosecute this war. But President Trump knows that he is on a very short leash to bring results back from this war. And that's why we see him aggressively negotiating at this point.
We're learning from sources that Iran is currently reviewing this U.S. proposal through those Pakistani mediators, and that it includes this one-page memorandum to allow for 1 month of deeper negotiations, and that it would involve.
You said, lady, you locked in.
All the U.S. agreeing to gradually lift its blockade on Iranian ports if.
Y'all could, you guys are free to say what you want, as far as your opinions. All opinions will be respected. You just can't be disrespectful to nobody in the chat, the host, of course, or none of my moderators. but you are free to disagree.
Iran agrees to allow traffic to flow freely through the Strait of Hormuz again. That would be a huge deal to finally ease up what's been happening with that blockage of that critical waterway. But even as President Trump is projecting a lot of optimism about the possibility of the two.
You're entitled to your opinion. Just please don't be disrespectful. That's all I'm saying. I don't mean any harm. I'm just passionate. And this is what I see. I'm telling the story from what I see from my eyes. So, yeah, you're free to disagree.
Two sides reaching a deal, the president is still trying to convince Iran to come to the table. The president is warning that if Iran doesn't agree to these terms, that the U.S. will start bombing again.
That's not working. He keeps doing that. You don't come to the table, I'm going to do this. And those threats mean nothing to these people.
But at a higher level, at a higher intensity than before. And officials are also cautioning us that Iran hasn't agreed to this U.S. framework. And even if they do, this is really just one step towards peace, because we know that there are several major sticking points still.
Thank you, Regina. Thank you. Yeah, please, y'all, could y'all get the likes up? Please and thank you. It helps me stay in the algorithm. My channel was demonetized for talking about this shit right here. This right here got me demonetized. So the likes are free. Please and thank you.
Between the two sides, especially when it comes to the...
Yeah, you can't be disrespectful. That's what's up, EJ. They will remove you. Don't be disrespectful. You could disagree all you want to. Just don't be disrespectful.
Future of Iran's nuclear program, what to do about the remaining enriched uranium that Iran still has, because while the president has insisted that Iran...
Just like I'm giving you the right to say what you want to say and say how you feel, give me my rights. I have a right to feel. This is my opinion.
Cannot have any of it. Iran has in previous rounds said publicly that they're not going to export and get rid of all of their enriched uranium, Diane.
Breaking news. Iran.
Let me read this comment. You said the same ones that cry about DEI and identity politics also want to be called the chosen one above all criticism, always challenging their authorities to attack anyone.
Has just rejected the final U.S. Strait of Hormuz proposal. A senior Iranian official, Mohsen Rezai, has sharply rejected the latest U.S. proposal on the Strait of Hormuz, calling it unrealistic and accusing the United States of trying to escape a crisis it created. According to him, Iran will not reopen the strait or allow Washington to walk away.
You said exactly. They never apologize for their opinions and hate. You don't need to either. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's go. Yep, keep sniping them.
Without compensation for war damage. And the main thing is...
Now, let me say this. The war damage, I'm not okay with that, because here's the thing. If we're lifting sanctions and we're unfreezing your assets, you don't need reparations. That's how I feel. Not only that, you guys have been charging for tolls. I'm not in agreement to that. Let's go.
Iran claimed that even if all U.S. forces withdraw from the region, the strait could remain closed until they pay for reparations. And this is an official response from Iran to President Trump. Stay ahead, stay informed with Worldwide News.
All right, so Project Freedom is back on. Maybe.
Now, Project Freedom is back on. They had a talk with Saudi Arabia, and basically what went on as far as the back and forth, Saudi expected us to retaliate. Okay.
This is hard to keep up with. So Sunday night, the United States announced this new initiative, Project Freedom, humanitarian mission to open the Strait of Hormuz to the flow of international commerce and to get the 20,000 plus sailors stranded in the Persian Gulf finally out, right? They're just innocent civilians caught in the middle of all of this. And we reached out to countries around the world asking for their participation. CENTCOM stood up, said 15,000 U.S. troops on top of all the equipment we have in the region would be facilitating this purely defensive mission to get ships out of the Strait of Hormuz. Tuesday afternoon, paused it. said, well, actually, talks are going so well. This is President Trump. Talks are going so well. We're going to see if we can get this deal done. So we're going to call off Project Freedom. Turns out there might have been more to that.
That part. So he came out and said, okay, Pakistan told me to hold off on Project Freedom because, boo, we about to put a deal through. Not saying Saudi Arabia, and I wouldn't expect them to come out and say that, said we can't use anything because we did not consult with them first.
Reporting yesterday said that Saudi Arabia and Kuwait blocked the U.S. military's use of their bases and airspace after senior American officials downplayed the Iranian attacks in the Persian Gulf in response to the operation. If you remember, we announced Project Freedom, and Iran started launching drones and missiles at a number of commercial vessels. They hit another one today, I believe, a Chinese vessel actually today. And they launched drones and missiles striking the Fujairah oil facility in the UAE.
Again, there is some back and forth with that. But of course, they said that would be smart for Iran to say it wasn't us.
Asked about this. We had multiple U.S. officials say it's not a violation of the ceasefire. This is like under, it's, what do they say? It's under the threshold of ending the ceasefire. So these countries, Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, apparently were like, are you kidding me? There's like some.
Yeah, they were highly upset.
One-sided ceasefire where the United States will just allow Iran to fire at anyone they want, so long as they don't hit the United States. So again, according to this reporting, Saudi and Kuwait were like hard no.
Yeah, Saudi wanted us to step up a little more,
Man, you can't use our airspace at all anymore. I guess they had some talks with President Trump. They sorted it all out. And the Wall Street Journal just a few minutes ago said, quote, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait have lifted restrictions on the U.S. military's use.
Because if you guys recall, when they struck the UAE, we claimed that Iran didn't break the ceasefire when they did it. Saudi was like, are you crazy? But you want to use our airspace, you want to use our military bases, but when they struck us, you didn't stand up for us. Make it make sense.
Of their bases and airspace imposed after the start of the American operation to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. And with that came a U.S. official saying we might be able to get that operation back up and going this week. So Project Freedom might be back on.
The Trump administration boasts that it has obliterated Iran's military capabilities.
Iran has no air defenses. Their missile volume is down 90%.
You hear that? Missile volume down 90%.
But that's not exactly true. We've been analyzing all the data available to us, from the official stats that Gulf states put out to various think tanks, to try to understand why Iran's campaign didn't stop and what the strike patterns show about its military capabilities and strategy. Let's take you through the key moments in the war.
Oh my God!
In the first couple,
they are still where they were day one as far as military stockpile.
days, Iran went all out, firing a huge number of missiles and drones at 7 countries simultaneously. Its proxies targeted more countries. Experts say this was likely a tactic of mass saturation to force the US to use up their air defense capabilities.
You see how strategic they are? They did this intentionally for us to use up our military capabilities. This is what I'm saying. We had no strategy, none. We just went in, thought this was going to be another Venezuela situation, and thought we was going to walk out. And that's not the case.
The US significantly depleted its stockpile of key missiles during the war, according to multiple well-placed sources. A couple days into the US and Israel's heavy bombardment of its missile stockpiles, Iran shifted its strategy, moving away from missile strikes and making drones, which are cheaper and more nimble, central to their campaign. We can see here Iranian drone strikes consistently being used in the UAE.
Pay attention. This is how they strategically damn near beat us.
And it switched to more lethal weapons, like controversial cluster munitions targeting Israel, maximizing the blast sites. On the ground, that meant an increase in civilian harm. As the war ground on, it seems Iran's strike patterns became more and more strategic. For example, when President Trump warned he would blow up Iran's largest gas field if it didn't stop attacking Qatari infrastructure, Iran's drone attacks pivoted from Qatar to Bahrain. So where does that leave Iran now? Well, it claims to be accelerating weapons production, and the Strait of Hormuz, located off Iran's coast, remains almost entirely closed to ships. That's their biggest strategic advantage.
You see no sign of will shaking here by Iran. It's all the opposite. And what people aren't used to seeing is...
This is insane. Diamond Gang, please and thank you. Can I get a few more likes? Get me up to at least 65. 10 more likes, please and thank you.
A country taking enormous costs here and fighting harder, not weaker.
Even though Iran's military might has been reduced, it's also shown endurance and flexibility and the ability to be politically strategic, which leads some analysts to say that if the war were to pick up again, Iran won't be sitting on the sidelines.
So the CIA is now contradicting Donald Trump. He says that...
Again, the CIA said it. They're at 75%.
That Iran has been completely destroyed. They're saying something else. A confidential new CIA analysis delivered to policymakers this week concludes that Iran can survive the U.S. naval blockade for at least 3 to 4 months before facing severe economic hardship.
3 to 4 months this could drag on. Yeah, this definitely may be my last live stream. I may be pivoting to something else.
That contradicts what Donald Trump is saying. U.S. intel also indicates that Iran retains about 75% of its pre-war inventories of mobile launchers and around 70% of its pre-war stockpiles of missiles, also contradicting what Trump has been saying. He said that they don't have any missiles. They can't even hurt the United States. CIA says otherwise. They're also actively recovering.
So where that person after said I don't have any proof? So you telling me the CIA is lying now?
Underground storage facilities and repairing damaged missiles. So maybe these numbers even go up more than we know right now. Look,
they are literally repairing damaged missiles.
You definitely do not need me to tell you this. I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but a good rule of thumb is to never listen to Donald Trump. If he's saying something, assume the opposite is true. If he's claiming that Iran has been destroyed, assume there's something that we don't know. And that actually, they probably have a bunch of missiles that can still do a lot of damage.
A confidential CIA analysis.
I'm going to tell you guys this. Get ready and be prepared because he already said he's been bored with this war. He said he will sell whatever we walk away with and they walk away with as a victory. He knows how to sell it to the American people. I'm going to say this again. He can't sell it to me. He can't sell it to me.
That was just obtained confirms Iran can withstand Trump's blockade for several months. This analysis was delivered to administration policymakers this week and shows Iran can last for at least 3 to 4 months before facing more severe economic hardship. The analysis also confirmed that Tehran retains significant ballistic missile capabilities even after weeks of intense U.S. and Israeli bombardment, according to 3 people who are familiar with it. It shows Iran has about 75% of its pre-war inventories of mobile launchers and about 70% of its pre-war stockpiles of missiles. A U.S. official said there's evidence the regime has been able to recover and reopen almost all of its underground storage facilities, repair some of the damaged missiles, and even assemble some new missiles that were nearly complete when the war began. But Trump, on the other hand, claims their missiles are mostly decimated, saying they have probably 18 or 19% of what they used to have. One U.S. official even said Iran's capacity to endure prolonged economic hardship is far greater than...
I knew that because they've been living under economic hardship and pressure for years. Try 47 years, probably. Yeah, about 47.
Even the CIA estimate. And it's not like this information is coming from an Iranian news outlet. This is coming from the CIA.
All right, so this is not a very rosy assessment just released by the Washington Post. They quote a confidential CIA assessment. Take this with the necessary grain of salt because it's unnamed officials citing a confidential assessment. All right. That said, it does kind of line up with what we're seeing publicly.
It does kind of line up with what we're seeing publicly.
Terms of how Iran is reacting to recent events. They say, quote, a confidential CIA analysis delivered to administration policymakers this week concludes that Iran can survive the U.S. naval blockade for at least 3 to 4 more months before facing severe economic hardship. They said the U.S. officials who spoke to the Washington Post said they thought Iran's capacity to endure prolonged economic hardship is far greater than the CIA.
So again, they could be going back and forth for many months. Iran has already said it. They're not budging. They're not coming to the table until the U.S. removes their blockade.
Estimate. They added that Iran retains about 75% of its pre-war inventories of mobile launchers and about 70% of its pre-war stockpiles of missiles. The officials said there is evidence that the regime has been able to recover and reopen almost all of its underground storage facilities, repair some damaged missiles, and even assemble some new missiles that were nearly complete when the war began. Again, take that with a grain of salt because it's a lot of unnamed sources. Some of it is directly contradictory to previous U.S. assessments and statements from, say, the Department of War or the White House. The number of missiles there.
Yeah, but it's been founded that they're not telling the truth. Especially that came out when they didn't tell us the true damage that Iran had did to the U.S. bases over there.
Roughly aligns with an assessment from the Defense Intelligence Agency just a couple weeks ago, where they said that Iran still maintains thousands of missiles that they're able to launch into the region. This also does kind of line up with the Iranian actions and kind of their posturing in the negotiations, where since the ceasefire went into place, we really haven't seen any concessions publicly. We don't know
that part. None. Everyone is going by what Trump is saying, but we're seeing a totally different story. So it's up to you guys. If you want to believe, but that's not what you see.
What's happening behind the scenes, right? What's happening behind closed doors, and maybe they're begging Rubio and Witkoff for a peace deal yesterday, but publicly we're seeing Iran
that I don't believe
dig in and ask for more now than they did before the war began. So
that part, they're asking for a lot more. They're asking for us to remove the blockade. They're asking to keep their enriched uranium. They're asking for reparations. They're asking for sanctions to be lifted. They're asking for frozen assets to be lifted. Yeah, a lot.
It does kind of line up that they're able to withstand this blockade for a longer period of time, and they might have more missiles still available to them than we initially thought. Again, grain of salt with this report, but it does kind of pass the common sense test with looking at how Iran is acting publicly in the middle of this ceasefire.
This is breaking news. The United States has launched strikes against Iran's Qeshm port and the city of Bandar Abbas in southern Iran. This comes after earlier this week, the Iranians launched missiles and drones toward a key U.S. ally, the United Arab.
Now, once Project Freedom was back up and running, we did this in retaliation for the UAE. They wanted us to stand up more for them, and it only makes sense.
Emirates, and we are following other developments, reports of air defense systems around the Iranian capital of Tehran.
How do we allow them to hit the UAE and say, oh no, they didn't break the ceasefire? Y'all know why they did that. Because of the War Power Resolution. So, okay, we're not going to stand up for you guys because of this thing we got going on for Congress. Make it make sense.
Currently active at this hour. We'll have more updates to follow, and Fox News is reporting, according to Jennifer Griffin, who broke the news of the 2 U.S. strikes that took place, that this is not the resumption of the war, but a limited strike campaign against Iran tonight.
We have breaking news at this hour. The United States has launched strikes on Iran again. Jennifer Griffin from Fox News has confirmed that the U.S. military has carried out strikes on Iran's Qeshm port.
We had no choice. In order to get Operation Freedom back up and running and to basically mend the problems that we had with Saudi, we had to.
And Bandar Abbas, and here's the major but, sources from the United States military tell Jennifer Griffin that it is not a, quote, restarting of the war. So apparently we're just striking Iran, but we're not restarting the war. Why is that language important? Because if this was a, quote, restart of the war, then they would be past the 60-day mark to notify Congress under the War Powers Act and have to do a lot more things to get a congressional approval to do this. But the administration is saying it's not a restart of the war, we're just striking Iran today. So that's where we're at.
But do you guys see what happened and what problems you run into when you don't follow the law or the rules to the game? You see what happened? So now they got to tiptoe around this 60-day thing. Insane.
I'll have more updates soon. Follow for more.
All right, so the U.S. military just carried out strikes against targets inside of Iran. But according to a U.S. official, this is not a restarting of the war, and this is not an end to the ceasefire. I don't really know how that all works. If we say it loud enough, maybe it makes it true. We'll see how Iran responds to this. So this is some reporting from Jennifer Griffin over at Fox News, who just said, quote, a senior U.S. official tells me that it was a U.S. military strike on Iran's Qeshm port in Bandar Abbas moments ago. But they added that this is not a restarting of the war or an end of the ceasefire. Now, a lot of this spiraled in the last 24 hours because when the United States announced Project Freedom, the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, Iran's response to that was carrying out a number of strikes against commercial vessels as well as our Gulf allies.
Diamond Gang, yes, please and thank you. Can I get a few more likes, please and thank you? It helps keep me into the algorithm. If you would like to support the channel, the Cash App is pinned. All likes are free.
So the United Arab Emirates was on the receiving end of around 15 ballistic and cruise missiles, as well as a number of drones. It looks like we may have upset Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and maybe some others in our response to that. An article in the Wall Street Journal earlier.
Bingo, I told you guys that. They were highly upset. How are you going to use our military bases, our airspace, and you did nothing when Iran hit us? That didn't make any sense. So I could see why they shut down Operation Freedom.
Today said they were.
Remember, they're tiptoeing around this 60-day war power resolution. So, of course, they had to say, oh, they didn't break the ceasefire by hitting the UAE, one of our allies. That don't make sense. Let's go.
Concerned when we referred to those as low-level harassment attacks and not a violation of the ceasefire. They wanted to see the United States stepping up and defending them. Retaliatory strikes against Iran for lashing out against our allies. That might be what's going on right here. We're trying to kind of reestablish, reestablish the ceasefire. That feels so weird to say, but it's probably trying to get some of our Gulf allies back on our side to show that we will stand with them. We will, if need be, actually carry out attacks against Iran. But of course, the big question here is how does Iran respond to this? It's entirely likely they view this as a violation of the ceasefire or the end of the ceasefire or the restarting of the war, and everything is back on. More to come, no doubt.
Major news happening right now as the United States has launched strikes into Iran. This came as shortly ago, the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia.
But do you see how that puts us in a predicament and in a position? You said Saudi Arabia is incredibly vulnerable and will probably collapse in due course, which will increase the food shortage. Yeah. Let me see. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, granted the United States military access to their airspace again and the bases in the region. And then the United States launched attacks in Iran. But the Pentagon officials are saying this is not a resumption of the war, but it's retaliation for the strikes Iran conducted to the UAE from Monday. So now we have this back and forth going. The IRGC launched missiles towards American warships, and in response, America.
And if you guys was here Wednesday, I kept saying, what is this Operation Freedom about? Is this to reignite it so that the 60 days start over again? What is going on? And as soon as I got off that live stream with you guys, boom, I found out about Saudi Arabia being upset. And, yeah. I was like, well, why all of a sudden it didn't even last 48 hours and it's over? I couldn't understand it.
Launch strikes targeting those launchers in Iran that sent those missiles. So we've got this back and forth happening. Hostilities have resumed, and there's no deal in place for peace right now. And we have no idea at this point exactly where that sits, other than there is no deal. So we'll see what happens here going forward. We'll see how this affects the markets and oil in the morning. So stay tuned for updates as we learn more. Comment, like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
If you're confused about what is happening with Iran and
Okay, you said we rely on Saudi oil for our refineries. We made a deal with them after World War II to provide sweet crude in return for our protection. Everything since World War II is based on that agreement. Gotcha. You said gas went up in Philly.
President Trump's strategy to deal with it, you're not alone. Here's what you need to know. Last week, President Trump declared that Operation Epic Fury, the main U.S. military attack on Iran, was over. That appeared to be a way for him to get around a deadline.
What's up, Aunt Esther? I ain't seen you in a minute. What's going on? How are you?
And to have Congress approve the use of military forces for over 60 days. Soon after that, he announced a separate military operation, Project Freedom. That was a U.S. Navy effort to get cargo ships through the Strait of Hormuz, which has been blocked by Iran and driven up oil prices. After less than 24 hours, though, Trump canceled that mission as well. He's talking about a deal with Iran, saying that a peace deal could be close, but it appears to just be a one-page memorandum that would pause the fighting and lead to more negotiations.
So it's just a one-page memorandum that'll pause the fighting until they can get to the negotiation table. I hope they get there.
The problem is the U.S. set out multiple goals when it started this war. They wanted to destroy Iran's navy. They wanted to destroy its stockpile.
Y'all see this? Let's look at these goals again. Let's look at these goals because this keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. It's like everybody forgot the initial goals.
Of missiles. They wanted to stop its funding of proxies in the region. And most of all, they wanted to stop it from having a nuclear weapon. Problem is, at most, the administration has achieved only one or two of those goals. Just today, Iranian forces.
What's the one or two? What are the one or two?
Forces fired on 2 American Navy ships trying to transit the Strait of Hormuz. None of them were hit. U.S. forces fired back and hit Iranian naval bases on land. This was yet another dangerous incident. I got
117 in the building. If you have not hit the like, can you please hit the like? Please and thank you. Hit the like. What's up, Michael?
What comes next is unclear.
The U.S. military has carried out strikes on ports in Iran tonight with air defenses activated in the capital, Tehran. Iran has accused the United States of breaching the ceasefire. Let us hear then from our U.S. correspondent, Mark Stone, who joins us from Washington. And Mark, we've heard from CENTCOM. What have they had to say about the action?
Yeah, we have. Look, I think what's clear, or becoming clear, I should say, tonight.
Now, I will say this. All day today, we talked about us striking in defense. So they tried to make that very clear that these last set of strikes were defensive strikes. Okay, let's go.
Is that neither side, despite clear action by both sides, neither side appears to want this to last or escalate. CENTCOM has released a statement tonight. That's CENTCOM's based out of Tampa. They are the part of the U.S. military that is prosecuting this war, or has been. They say U.S. forces intercepted unprovoked Iranian attacks and responded with self-defense strikes as U.S.
So pay attention, because these next couple of clips will talk about those strikes were defensive strikes.
Navy guided missile destroyers transited the Strait of Hormuz to the Gulf of Oman on May 7th. And they say that the Iranian forces launched multiple missiles, drones, and small boats at 3 U.S. naval vessels. No U.S. assets, they say, were.
Welcome, Steve. Welcome, Tarek Mason. I've seen you in here before. What's up?
Damaged, was struck. It goes on to say CENTCOM does not seek escalation, but remains positioned and ready to protect American forces. Now, that's the American side of things. The Iranians have said that there have been American and other airstrikes from other aligned nations aligned to the Americans in a number of areas around the Strait of Hormuz. A number of naval assets hit, according to the Iranians. So clearly there has been firing by both sides on the other. But
right, both sides. We're saying that ours was defensive. Of course, Iran is saying that we broke the ceasefire, you know.
But here's the Trump insert on that. Donald Trump has been speaking to ABC News over the course of the last few minutes, presumably a phone call that he has had with them. And he
let him tell it. We had to blow them up really quick, is what he said.
He has described what has unfolded over the past few hours as a love tap. I mean, I think only President Trump could use a phrase like that to describe.
Yeah, I forgot about that. He said a love tap, but then he did threaten to nuke them. And we'll get into that.
A military maneuver by the Americans. Trump tells ABC News the retaliatory strikes against Iran were a love tap. So there you go. I think what we can say from that and from what the Iranians have been saying in the last few minutes, which is that the situation on Iranian islands and coastal cities by the Strait of Hormuz is back to normal. I think what we can take from both sides is that there has been an exchange of fire, that there doesn't appear to have been any significant damage, if any, to American assets, and both sides clearly want this ceasefire to hold.
The U.S. military says this is not an escalation and the war hasn't restarted, but Iran has reportedly struck multiple U.S. Navy ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and the United States responded by striking Iran. U.S. CENTCOM confirmed that Iranian forces launched a coordinated attack.
Now, right now, it's calm. It's nothing really going on right now.
Attack involving missiles, drones, and small boats against multiple U.S. Navy ships. CENTCOM claims the U.S. forces were able to intercept the unprovoked attacks and said that no U.S. assets were struck. However, Iranian state media and the IRGC Navy claim to have successfully hit the warships with missiles, asserting that the vessels were damaged and forced to withdraw from that area. In response to this, the U.S. military conducted multiple self-defense strikes against Iranian military facilities. Some of the targets included missile and drone launch sites, command and control locations, ISR nodes, and a naval checkpoint. But don't worry, according to the U.S. military, this does not classify as a restart to the war. But what I find to be very interesting is the fact that Iran was able to carry out an attack on multiple...
Here's the deal. Okay, so how long are we going to play this game? Okay, there's still a ceasefire. This is not restarting the war. How long? I don't think much longer. I don't. I really don't.
U.S. Navy ships, even though, according to Donald Trump, they have no Navy.
Hey, this is breaking news. Central Command says that U.S. forces intercepted what they describe as unprovoked Iranian attacks and responded with self-defense strikes as U.S. Navy guided missile destroyers transited the Strait of Hormuz. They say that Iranian forces...
The U.S. made it clear all day long that these were defense strikes.
Launched multiple missiles, drones, and small boats at several U.S. naval ships.
A love tap. That's President Trump's way of brushing off what could...
But here's the deal. What would they have to do? What would Iran have to do in order for them to say anything else than what they're saying now? Because for me, I would think that this would reignite, and I know that they're trying to be careful because of the War Powers Resolution, but after a while, they're not going to be able to keep saying this.
Yet still be a serious rupture in the ceasefire, to the extent that there is one, between Iran and the United States. Overnight, there was a significant exchange of fire between the US and the Iranians in and around the Strait of Hormuz. We first heard from the Iranians that locations have been hit in various areas around the port of Bandar Abbas in Minab and on the island of Qashem. Now, the Iranians said they responded by attacking, and they claim damaging US naval vessels in the Gulf. The American line, though, well, that's somewhat different. Trump has called it a love tap, as I say, brushing it off as simply defensive action that doesn't really mean a great deal. He said that in a call with ABC News and on Truth Social.
This is what I'm saying. Like, this right here, I'm looking at this as a violation.
In a lengthy message, he essentially said that 3 vessels tried to pass through the Strait of Hormuz.
Thanks to everybody that hit the like. It keeps me in this algorithm. So I appreciate you guys tremendously.
They were fired upon by Iran. There was no damage. They returned fire, causing significant damage to Iran. A US military statement said the same thing, but in more formal language. US forces intercepted unprovoked Iranian attacks and responded with self-defense.
And to be quite honest with you guys, I feel like there's not going to be much movement. They're going to do this back and forth. I mean, this has been going on for at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's the same. It's just the same. Nothing has really changed.
Defense strikes.
Iran is pushing a hard line. They're like, we're not talking about anything until you remove the blockade. And they have stood on that since the last talks of coming to the table and negotiating. But again, like I say this every live stream, shouts out to Pakistan, because they've been pressing for this to get resolved.
No US assets, the Americans said, were struck. Now, here's the important bit. The Americans say they do not seek escalation, but remain positioned, ready to protect American forces. And the Iranians, well, they've said pretty quickly that the situation around the strait.
I'm going to be honest. I think that they're going to push it. Iran's going to keep on pushing that envelope.
Is back to normal. It's clear, I think, that both sides, now at least, while wanting to maintain deterrence, dignity, and the pretense that they have the upper hand, both of them want to avoid returning to an actual war. It is, though, a tense, dangerous game.
Either that or, you know what? I didn't think it is. Israel. They're going to do something.
After these strikes, is the ceasefire with Iran still on?
Yeah, it is. They trifled with us today. We blew them away.
You hear them? They trifled with us today. We blew them away.
They trifled. I call that a trifle. I'll let you know when there's no ceasefire. You won't have to know. If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran. And they better sign their agreement fast.
You hear them? They better sign the agreement fast. I don't know what part of those threats are not working that he does not get. Listen, they're not paying those threats no attention.
Military is unbelievable. They're doing an unbelievable job. We're negotiating.
And now that the CIA put those reports out, you know that they threatened us, and it's coming up shortly. But Iran threatened us and said that they were at, it was a number over 100%.
With the Iranians, we have, you probably heard, we took our 3 destroyers and we rammed them through some pretty big stuff today, and we knocked the hell out of them. The destroyers weren't hurt in any way. The people weren't hurt, but they were firing at us. So
and I'm pretty sure that's the only part they showed him today, is that.
We're firing back at them, and our firepower was a hell of a lot stronger than theirs, and they knocked the hell out of them. They took down a lot of small boats. You know, we call them small boats or fast boats. They're both small and they're fast, with some weaponry on the front.
Trump is trying to draw the European Union into this war with Iran with his latest Truth Social post. I had a great call with the president of the European Commission.
Again, he's trying to pull in our allies, and they keep telling him, we will help after this is over. But he won't take no for an answer.
Ursula von der Leyen. We discussed many topics, including that we are completely united that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. We agreed that a regime that kills its own people cannot control a bomb that can kill millions. I've been waiting patiently for the EU to fulfill their side of the historic trade deal we agreed to in Turnberry, Scotland, the largest trade deal ever. A promise was made that the EU would deliver their side of the deal and, as per agreement, cut their tariffs to zero. I agreed to give her until our country's 250th birthday, or unfortunately, their tariffs would immediately jump to a much higher level. Guys, he has no tariff power anymore. He can't make it go to like 100% or wherever the
Yeah, I hear that. No more tariff power for him. None.
hell he was doing before. He just can't do that anymore. That early sentence, though, where he's saying they are completely united, that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, that's his way of drawing them into this. Hey, you agree to this, so you should come help with this situation. This is
At the end of the day, they're not doing it. They're not doing it. You go from we don't need them. You was just seeing what they would do to now you're back on True Social, basically dry begging for help.
what Trump is trying to do here. So we'll see what happens here. Will the European Union resist, or will they join in now that the Saudi and United Arab Emirates and other Middle Eastern partners will not let Trump use their airspace to conduct operations? Let me know what you think. Comment, like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
What the Central Command is saying is that U.S. forces intercepted unprovoked Iranian attacks and responded with self-defense strikes as U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyers transited the Strait of Hormuz to the Gulf of Oman on May 7th. And what I can tell you is that the U.S. president made a very similar statement on Truth Social shortly after the release of the CENTCOM statement, once again, essentially painting this as a U.S. success, blaming Iran.
You hear this? He got to stop it.
On and saying that there was no damage done to the three destroyers, but great damage done, he says, to the Iranian attackers. The problem is here is that both sides, and I know my colleague Toya Desadi will talk to this in a moment, but that each side is saying there was no damage. The other side is responsible for instigating this. What I've been speaking to a U.S. official about in the
So this is what this is basically, just a big blame game, just the back and forth blame game.
last hour, and what he has said consistently since the start of this conflict is that the only thing certain in a conflict like this is that both sides will be, through the media, engaging in a propaganda war. And it's clear that somebody isn't telling the truth, given the fact that this incident is being characterized so differently from the U.S. side versus the Iranians.
And Tawheed, where does this leave mediation efforts from Tehran's perspective? Because we heard
Now, the last part of this live stream, guys, will be about Kash Patel. He is freaking out. He wants to get lie detector tests to see who is leaking that information out about him.
heard there from Kimberly what the U.S. thinks on that.
Oh, actually, Tehran says diplomatically speaking, it's engaged in a lot of efforts, and that is clear from all these phone conversations and mediated messaging from Iran when it comes to its indirect, or I would say communication by the mediation of the Islamabad. We know that there are so many uncertain things, and I would say uncertainty is the only certain thing at this point. We don't know what goes on behind the closed doors when it comes to these mediated communications. We don't know about the concessions that the two sides are practically.
That part. So we don't know what the U.S. may have said or Iran when it comes to concessions. He said that Trump said that they're begging us for a deal. I mean, I haven't seen it. It's not showing. That's what I'll say.
ready to exchange when it comes to this situation. We're dealing with I would say, relatively long list of controversial issues. The sticking points are out there when it comes to the nuclear dossier of the country and sanction issues, as Kimberly was mentioning, also other issues such as...
I truly believe that we're just going to go right back to the oversight of Iran.
The Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. blockade, war reparations, Iran's frozen assets, Iran's regional relations, and other issues are out there, and whether diplomacy is going to be dealing with them all under this cloud of mistrust that is out there when it comes to Tehran's vantage point pertaining to Washington is another big question. And
where is J.D. Vance? Where is he at? He is super quiet, but I told you guys why he's quiet.
That at this parallel military rhetoric that we hear from both sides, they're saying that they're ready for diplomacy, and they're saying that fingers are on trigger for any confrontational potential scenario down the road.
A major new escalation in the war with Iran. The Pentagon says 3 American...
All right, Diamond Gang. So we are officially at this morning. What was actually going on is pretty much the same. Neither side is budging. No agreement has been made.
Destroyers in the Strait of Hormuz were attacked. Officials say U.S. forces returned fire and hit Iranian targets on land. President Trump called this, quote, a little U-turn with Iran, saying we had to, quote, blow them up a little.
We've had many U-turns with Iran.
They trifled with us today. We blew them away. They trifled. I call that a trifle.
The Iranians trifled with these 3 U.S. Navy destroyers as they transited the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. officials say Apache helicopters armed with Hellfire missiles took out the swarm of Iranian fast attack boats in a firefight that lasted for hours.
Every missile was knocked down. Every drone was knocked down. And the people that shot it are no longer with us.
Trump talked about the...
That's a victory for him. That's a victory.
Skirmish shortly after he drove right down the middle of the drained reflecting pool on the National Mall, which he closed for resurfacing.
Making progress, huh?
A reporter asked him about soaring gas prices.
Gas prices have come down today. Have you looked?
Gas prices actually rose a few cents Thursday to a U.S. average of $4.56 a gallon.
Again, y'all heard him say clear as day. Gas prices went down. They didn't.
We'll probably be at $4.90 by next week.
Economic analyst Henrietta Trey says even if the Strait of Hormuz reopened tomorrow, it would take months to restore the global oil supply.
So we should expect higher gas prices through the rest of this year.
Yes, absolutely. And higher food prices.
Even if it was to go down, I mean, if the war was to end today or tomorrow, the prices wouldn't go down right away. I don't believe so.
And transit prices.
The White House has said,
or let's say the straits was open right away. I don't believe that the gas prices would go down right away.
And the Iranians a 14-point plan aimed at kickstarting peace talks. We have their proposal under review, an Iranian spokesman said. As soon as we finalize our response, the next steps will be decided.
So that's what we waiting on, a response. Depending on what the response may be, I'm going to be honest with you guys. If it's a deadlock no, I'm not going to laugh about it. I'm just not. I'm burnt out. I'm going to take a break from this because this insanity I feel like a hamster in a wheel. So,
President Trump has insisted for days that an agreement was close at hand. Last night, he did not sound so sure.
Could happen any day. And it might not happen, but it could happen any day. I believe that.
It's like the little boy that cried wolf with the situation, and I'm just over it.
They want the deal more than I do.
But just a few minutes ago, the Iranian
his pride is all in the way of making his deal, and in the fact that he's negotiating through True Social. That's the problem.
Foreign minister posted this, quote, every time a diplomatic solution is on the table, the U.S. opts for a reckless military adventure, adding Iranians never bow to pressure. Another worrying sign for the possibility.
That part, never bow to pressure. So basically, stop threatening them. Stop it.
Of a quick resolution made.
I think what's clear is that when the Americans want to call this a war and want to make it offensive and want to make a point, they do. And when they want to back off and try and play this down, they do that as well. And I think this is very much the latter. CENTCOM does not seek escalation, but remains positioned and ready to protect American forces. They're seeing this as defensive action.
Yeah, we had Trump, didn't we, a few days ago saying the military action had terminated. Marco Rubio during the week.
Let me ask you a question, guys. Do you guys think that this was defensive? Do you guys think? I think that I'm kind of on the fence, because here's the deal. We had to do something to, as far as the UAE. So, because of that, yeah, I'm going to say it was defensive. We had to protect the UAE. We had to retaliate on behalf of the UAE.
Saying that the military action was over. The Americans, as you say, Mark, they're calling this defensive, but I mean, for me, it has a look of significant escalation, very much in keeping with a pattern of entrenchment in all of this. Two countries.
Now, this part, I don't feel that way because of the strikes on the UAE. I don't feel that way.
Very far apart in terms of agreement, but very close to the brink of war, and all the while, struggling for compromise. I think the Americans, it's in their interest to call it defensive, of course, because they have this issue of the legality of a military act, a legality which critics say.
And I'm that the War Powers Resolution is just this. We're in a pickle.
Or point out that ran out on day 60 of this military action. After day 60,
because I believe President Trump is kind of being careful because, like I said, this war has become political and he wants to look a certain way now,
Donald Trump has to go back to Congress for permission.
Yeah, assuming he cares about that.
Which is why he's not characterizing it as an offensive military strike.
But also it's very clear that right now Donald Trump doesn't.
And the administration has been doing what they wanted to do. So for them to be careful around this war power resolution situation is baffling to me. They've been doing what they want to do.
Not want to restart this war. He wants a way out. He wants an off ramp, and he certainly doesn't want to be in an active shooting match when he is on this big trip to China.
I'm going to predict on this podcast that Trump fires Marco Rubio. The first move is we demote Rubio.
I brought this piece for a reason. I honestly believe that Marco Rubio will be the fall guy. Him and, of course, Hegseth. Now, he picks, I think it's going to be Hegseth first. He thinks it's going to be Rubio and J.D. Vance. It might be J.D. Vance because he's not vocal about this war because he don't like what's going on.
We take away the NSA from him. And again, I want to remind everybody here, Rubio is doing the exact job that Trump hired him to do. He's taking the meetings Trump won't take. He's absorbing blame for things. And let me tell you something, he's getting bigger than Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen. And when that happens, that press conference yesterday sounded articulate, was even putting complete sentences together.
Listen, what do y'all think about this? I don't think he's going to be the first to go. I don't think Vance is, I don't know. I truly, honestly believe it's going to be Pete Hegseth first.
Trump does not like that. He would prefer dumb Hegseth. Hegseth looks good. Trump has a crush on him. Doesn't like Rubio's brain. So he's going to demote him first. And then he's going to eviscerate him later in the term. And I predict that will happen. Vance gone first. Dispatch.
I don't know. Maybe so. We'll have to see.
Him and then Rubio.
We have some news right now. Donald Trump is, quote, bored with the war in Iran and wants to move on to.
Bingo. This is the part that I was telling you guys. He's bored with the war. wants to move on and said that whatever we walk away with, he's going to sell it to the American people as a win. And I believe that. As soon as the Straits is opened, he's going to claim a victory.
Talking about domestic issues and wants to deal with China and wants to move on from Iran. That's according to new reporting from The Atlantic, which says that the president is looking for an off-ramp to try to sell to his supporters. He says, behind the scenes, that he could come up with any agreement and he could sell it as a win, as though the United States won the war. Truth is that the United States today is in a worse off position than it was just 2 months ago when the war began. Gas prices are higher, the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and while Americans are suffering, we have American lives that were lost overseas, military bases that were targeted and hit. Well, now the president is bored. He's bored with the war in Iran, and he desperately wants it to end. Will it, though, anytime soon? That's a question.
Not only that, it's hurting him politically. I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. Again, we just seen, based off of what the CIA is saying, that Iran can last another 3 to 4 months without any economic hardship. So, yeah.
Not for the president, and really not even for the Iranians. We'll see what happens next. Spread the word. Full updates on my Substack, as always, linked in my bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along to stay updated on all the news you need to know about. There'll be more to come soon.
So the Department of Justice is looking into at least 4 different trades.
Remember, gang, I told you at the beginning of this live stream, the insider trading situation, every time Trump announces there's a deal, what happens? Gas prices, go down. Let's take a look.
Where traders made more than $2.6 billion betting that oil prices would drop right before an announcement made by President Trump or Iranian leadership around the war in Iran. This is wild. And I don't know how many times this has to happen where it goes from a coincidence or just really lucky or good timing to very clearly some sort of insider trading. This is my expertise. I'm trying to follow the war, and it's been maddening because pretty regularly we get an announcement about something, major breakthrough, right? The Strait of Hormuz is open. We've got a ceasefire. The war is coming to a close. And then usually within 2 or 3 hours, we find out that's not true at all. That was just
over $2 billion, y'all.
Somebody just said that. But the markets reacted, and they reacted long enough and big enough for people to make a lot of money. This was an ABC News report that just came out today where they say they obtained the data of these 4 trades from the London Stock Exchange Group on March 23rd, 15 minutes before Trump announced that he would delay threatened attacks on Iran's power grid. Traders bet more than $500 million that oil prices would fall. April 7th, hours.
Diamond Gang, could I get 20 more likes, please? And thank you. 20 more likes.
Ahead of a temporary ceasefire announced by Trump. Again, this kind of came out of nowhere. Traders bet $960 million that oil prices would fall. April 17th, just 20 minutes before Iran's foreign minister posted on social media saying the Strait of Hormuz was open. And it wasn't. Traders bet $760 million that oil prices would fall. Strait wasn't open, but that announcement forced oil prices lower for a period of time, right? April 21st, 15 minutes before Trump announced that he would extend the ceasefire, traders placed a series of bets worth $400.
First time, maybe. Second time, this is not a coincidence.
$30 million that oil prices would fall. Again, I'm no commodity expert. I'm not a stock market expert. So I don't know. Maybe these people are just getting really lucky or they're reading the tea leaves. But $2.6 billion worth of bets in 4 trades made mere moments before major announcements are made that end up not actually being realistic. I guess on the bright side, DOJ is looking into it. We'll see what comes of it.
So y'all hear that? The Department of Justice is supposed to be looking into these insider trades. I told you guys that at the beginning of this live stream. So we'll see what comes of this.
Donald Trump once again seemingly threatened to use a nuclear weapon on Iran, threatening the lives of over 90 million people if they don't make a deal with us. Take a look.
If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran. And they better sign their agreement fast.
Doesn't sound like much progress is being made. But despite that statement, Marco Rubio still said, about an hour before the stock market opened up, by the way, we are expecting a response from Iran today at some point. We haven't received it.
No response from them. I watched it all the way up until it was time for me to hit that live button. So we'll see tomorrow what happens.
Yet, I hope it's a serious offer. I really do. At the same time, today, the U.S. military conducted a fresh wave of airstrikes targeting several empty tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. These vessels were described as very large crude carriers and were allegedly attempting to breach the ongoing American naval blockade and reach Iranian ports. Trump also made the outrageous claim that gas prices are way down, asking us, have we looked? But the readers who added context did look, saying the national average U.S. gas price is currently $4.56 a gallon and has risen in recent weeks, not declined. It seems like Donald Trump and this administration just say whatever they want to be true while completely ignoring reality.
Breaking news. It was pretty close yesterday. It was close. The war was almost back on in Iran. Lots of bombing exchanges going on, but it seems to have settled down.
At some point, they're going to have to call it. They cannot keep saying the ceasefire is still on.
Down now. Yesterday, the U.S. attacked Iran, and Iran responded. Trump says they successfully got a few ships through the Hormuz, but it was under intense fire. Iran says no ships got through. Also, Iran blames UAE for some explosions in Iran last night as well. And then the UAE reported that Iran sent 2 ballistic missiles.
The UAE did vow retaliation.
And 3 drones into the UAE yesterday in response to UAE's strikes. Trump, talking to reporters yesterday, threatened a nuclear bomb if talks don't go well. He said if there's no ceasefire, you're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran. They better sign the agreement fast. If they don't sign, they're going to have a lot of pain. Now threatening a nuclear bomb because you can't win a war. I thought the purpose of this war was to help the Iranian people. Now we are threatening to evaporate the people of Iran with a nuclear bomb. Anyway, through all this craziness, it looks like things have calmed down and the ceasefire is still intact, although Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, did post on X yesterday saying that the Iranians never bow to pressure. He mentioned that every time a diplomatic solution is on the table, the U.S. opts for a reckless military adventure. He also mentioned that the CIA says that Iran is at 75%.
Pay attention, because this is where they claim to have over 75%. Okay.
Missile stockpile level compared to pre-war levels. And he said the real number is 120%, meaning they have more missiles now than they have when they started.
And the reason be it is because they are repairing missiles.
Iran is not backing down and flexing more than ever. Let's stay tuned to see what happens next.
Donald Trump's brain bad.
We can ready go there. In this part, I was highly upset today. Donald Trump called a black female reporter a bitch. I'm going to say this again. Donald Trump called a black female reporter a bitch. Let's go. Trigger warning.
Badly malfunctioned multiple times, including calling a reporter, a black woman, of course, a bitch, after very mysteriously not showing up for an open press event with the Brazilian president. Yesterday seemed like a bad day for Trump. The term sundowning has been thrown around. Donald Trump belligerently.
Mitch said other countries can't have a nuclear weapon, but he must have it. Exactly. You said China helping for sure. Yeah. China met with Iran 3 days ago.
Talking about how all of this firepower is being used against Iran just after he said the Iran war was over again. The Iran war is over, but here is Trump bragging about
For the people that just entered the building, can you do me a favor and click the like, please, 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 and thank you. If you would like to support the channel, the Cash App is pinned.
hostilities.
Thank you.
And destroying stuff.
We're negotiating with the Iranians. We have, you probably heard, we took our 3 destroyers and we rammed them through some pretty big stuff today, and we knocked the hell out of them. The destroyers weren't hurt in any way. The people weren't hurt, but they were firing at us, and we were firing back at them. And our firepower was a hell of a lot stronger than theirs, and they knocked.
So the war is over now for like the second or third time, but we're firing at each other. Got it.
And this reporter asked him a simple question.
the hell out of them. They took down a lot of small boats. You know, we call them small boats or fast boats. They're both small and they're fast with some weaponry on the front. You know, this is what. So this is now replacing the Navy.
Right. So a few days ago, the big announcement was the war is over. Stock market spikes. Everything's good. We've got a deal. Then it's like, well, we have potentially a deal, assuming that Iran goes along with it. And we're like, oh, I don't think Iran's going to go along with that. And then even though the war is still over.
Thanks, Diamond Gang. I just need 11 more likes, please. And thank you. Just 11 more. Get me to 100 likes, please.
Now we're firing at each other and destroying boats. That's war. That's but a rose by any other name.
Rachel Scott just experienced abuse from the president. That's what I just saw. And I refuse to sit by and allow it without calling it out.
Again, a reporter asked him a simple question on the war. He called her a bitch.
Here, you don't believe me? Take a look. Take a look at the abuse.
So I asked the president, why focus on all of these projects now amid the backdrop of the war with Iran and as gas prices continue to soar across the country?
Such a stupid question you asked. We're fixing up the reflecting pond to the Lincoln Memorial. The ones you can understand dirt maybe better than I can, but I don't allow it. This is one of the worst reporters. She's
abuse, plain, flat, and simple. The president of these United States.
This is ridiculous.
Stood at the Lincoln Memorial and attacked Miss Rachel Scott, a senior ABC News correspondent, a black woman. Once again, here we go, asking one fair question and called her a horror show, a disgrace to the country is what he said. Said her question was stupid. Said that she understands dirt better than he can. Her question, guess what her question was? Why redecorate a reflecting pool while gas is $4.52 a gallon and we're at war with Iran? That question broke him. He lost composure. Now, I'm going to put your ass in the podium seat, Mr. President, sir. You are a disgrace, sir. You said 34% approval, the lowest of any president in modern history. Your ass. You have gas up 53% since this Iran war kicked off. You are a convicted felon. You lit the terrifiers and you poured $2 million into a pond while working families got to figure out which bill they got to pay.
That part. Diamond Gang, I need 10 more likes, please, and thank you. Once this is over, we will get into Kash Patel.
Follow the damn pattern, y'all. These black journalists like Miss Abby Phillip, says she asked stupid questions. April Ryan, call her a loser. I think the other one, Yamish Ascendor, call her racist and nasty, second rate. And now all of a sudden we got Rachel Scott. Every single one, a black woman doing her job. And this damn president abused them. Now, all you white fathers out there with white daughters, I'm talking to you. This is for you. Your white daughter is in journalism. Your white daughter is in law or any profession. Picture this. Your daughter steps to the mic and President Obama calls her a horror show, or Biden tells her she understands dirt. If Kamala calls her a disgrace to the country, you know what America would be doing? America would burn down. You'll have hearings, resignations, front page news for a whole fucking month. And you'll have Fox News over there. They will be peeing on the damn white couch on Fox and Friends in the morning. But because she's black.
And this is the truth. That was some disrespectful ass, racist ass shit. And I'm calling it out. I don't give a good goddamn if I only have two in this goddamn chat. Because I am a black female.
Folks just scroll past. That's the shit that black people, black women specifically, have to endure on that fucking daily. Excuse my French. That is the double standard here in America. Would your boss survive one day screaming at a black woman? We see you, Rachel. We see you in your Mish, Miss April, Miss Abby. We name it. We see you. We will defend you. Because journalism is the spine of our democracy, people. And the man that can't take a fucking question, he don't deserve to be sitting behind that damn chair. Truth has no part, y'all be well.
That part at all. This is another reason why I got to walk away from this shit, because it's starting to get to my mentals.
We have big news at this hour. Kash Patel, the FBI director, is reportedly paranoid and panicked, according to new MS Now report.
All right, now Kash Patel is acting like a maniac. He is running around trying to get lie detector tests on staff that he believes leaked the information on his drinking problem.
Reporting, Patel has ordered the polygraphs of 24 current and former staff members, officials at the FBI, security detail personnel, and more. Comes after Sarah Fitzpatrick's amazing reporting for The Atlantic showing Kash Patel's alcoholism issues. And now the latest is that he's giving out these bottles of personalized whiskey bottles on official business.
This is insane. Literally giving out whiskey bottles, his personalized whiskey bottles.
For the FBI to people on at least 8 different occasions. And well, now he is so paranoid and so panicked. Inside the FBI, he's ordering polygraphs. He's trying to root out leaks.
This is insane. This administration is insane. So you ordering polygraphs on employees and previous employees. It couldn't be me. You ain't gonna get me to do a goddamn thing.
Trying to find out who is talking to the press. He is not going to last much longer. It will not work if this continues on this path.
You're harassing people to take a lie detector test.
We'll see what happens next, though. I'll have more updates for you soon. As always, spread the word and follow along the update on all the news you need to know about. And if you can, subscribe to my Substack, link in bio to support my work. Really would mean
that's not going to save his job.
The world to me.
Meantime, Chris, I want to ask you about new reporting in The Atlantic that details an incident in which the FBI director, Kash Patel, bought at least one case of his personalized bourbon to the FBI's training facility in Quantico for a training seminar with UFC athletes in March. According to The Atlantic, at one point, at least one bottle went missing, which caused the director to, quote, lose his mind, according to clients of Kurt Suzdak, a retired agent.
He is crashing.
Who's assisted the FBI.
He is crashing. I got 97 in the building. If you have not hit the like, please, 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 and thank you. This will be the end. I will take comments in the chat.
With legal issues. He told The Atlantic multiple agents contacted him for legal guidance after Patel began threatening to polygraph and prosecute his staff over the missing bottle. Is this the kind of environment that, to your knowledge,
he got to get some help? He has to get some help.
Agents are at least reportedly dealing with?
This is the exact environment that agents are dealing with every day, every week. That incident I heard about from multiple contacts. I applaud The Atlantic for not backing down after, they were threatened with a lawsuit or they have been sued. And the FBI has denied all their reporting. But all of the reporting that they've put out, I have heard from other.
You see the bottle? Kash Patel.
People, as have other great journalists like Ken and Carol and others. So the problem is, this is the standard going on from Kash Patel right now. This is just one more data point of why he's unqualified to be the director of the FBI and why the country's less safe every day he remains in that position.
In fact,
they said he was taking his girlfriend on trips and flying her around on the taxpayers' money. 9 more likes, please and thank you, Diamond Gang.
They think him using the FBI to go after his enemies in the press. The reporter for the New York Times who reported about Kash Patel's girlfriend, the wannabe country singer. Those are her words, how she describes herself, and squiring her around on government jets at the taxpayer dollars to go on dates and give her a security detail. When they went after that reporter, they were like, we can't do this. This isn't a national security issue. We can't abuse the First Amendment and journalists. Same thing going after Sarah Fitzpatrick at The Atlantic for her reporting about his excessive drinking. The new reporting by MS Now is that he's in a panic again about who's leaking about my drinking and who's leaking about my whereabouts and my girlfriend and all of that. He wants to get to the bottom of it with another round of polygraphs because he's trying to keep his job. He knows about the reporting that came out by MS Now also at the end of November that was unequivocal. Trump and major insiders like Susie Wiles, the chief.
You said the signature bottles are collector items. What's up, logical assessment?
Chief of staff are seriously.
What up, Tati?
Considering that was back in November.
That part, they're doing what they want. They don't care. I need 9 more likes. Come on, y'all. Come on. This might be my last live stream for a while on this. Please and thank you. All right, let's go.
November, replacing Kash Patel and Andrew Bailey, the Deputy Attorney General, former
You said MSN now.
Missouri, former Missouri Attorney General, Deputy Director and former Missouri Attorney General waiting in the wings.
So, Chris, when we're looking at the real world consequences of a leader in charge of a law enforcement agency like the FBI, help me understand what we should be.
He's losing his mind trying to get his staff for a polygraph.
Most concerned about.
You should be most concerned about the fact that the FBI is not a nice to have. The FBI actually protects the country from the threat of terrorism, from espionage, from cyber attacks, and many, many more things, as Ken was laying out. And right now, that the current FBI director, who is patently unqualified, both experience.
Listen, I told y'all months ago he was going to lose his job, even based off of the Epstein files. I knew back then when I said Pam Bondi, I called out Kash Patel, I called out Christy Nome, I called out Gabby. Like, y'all, I told y'all.
But character-wise, is dismantling the FBI in front of our eyes. And every day he stays in position, he further erodes its capability and further, erodes the trust and confidence in the organization from the American public, but also from our partners. The FBI is effective because it has partnerships throughout the country with state and local and other federal agencies, but also globally. The FBI is a global organization. I worked a large majority of my career.
What's wrong, Logical? He gone? Ah, wow. I thought he was going to be able to stick around. I guess not. All right, let's go.
With partners overseas, and listen, he's a national embarrassment. Daily, nearly, he embarrasses himself, the FBI, and the country. And listen, he has no leadership experience, and that's being demonstrated every day. A good leader is focused on 2 things: mission accomplishment and the welfare of his people. He doesn't seem to care about either.
Listen, the way he was at the correspondent dinner, sitting there twiddling his thumbs, I'm like, this dude is not serious about nothing.
Just going around, playing dress up, flashing his FBI badge, which he never earned and doesn't rate.
Y'all hear that? That was a good one. 7 more likes. I got 108 in the building. If you did not hit the like, please, and thank you. The likes are free. All opinions are respected over here. If you would like to support the channel, the Cash App is pinned.
Passing out bottles of whiskey and inviting the UFC to Quantico, something that is not needed, and is probably going to wind up in a lawsuit if anybody, an arresting FBI agent uses any of the techniques that the UFC, taught them.
Ken, starting with you, your latest reporting sort of fits into this larger picture of Patel's time as FBI director.
He thinks that if he gets to the bottom of this will save his job. It's not going to save your job, sir.
Put it into context here.
Well, Ariel, Kash Patel came in as a disruptor, right? Saying that the FBI was a corrupt institution. And almost immediately he began firing civil servants in what the FBI Agents Association views as.
I got this piece because I had no idea that he came in saying that the FBI was corrupt. I had no idea. None. And look at him. Look how he turned out.
As illegal firings. And he's been doing things that have angered and disquieted the large portions of the workforce almost since the moment he took office. And all during that time, people inside the FBI have been leaking embarrassing stories about him, whether it's his conduct in meetings or his habits of giving.
So he basically brought it on himself, going in there with the mass firing and just doing the most.
Away challenge coins with the Punisher cartoon character on them, all kinds of stories. And just as long as that's been happening, Kash Patel has been trying to ferret out who these leakers are. And then our latest reporting is that he's subjecting members of his security detail and others to polygraphs. And that's important because, you know, this Atlantic magazine story that he's suing over.
Is this legal? Does anybody know? I'm not sure. Maybe I need to look into this. These polygraph tests that he's ordering, is this legal? Do they have to take them? I don't think so.
One of the most explosive allegations in that was that there have been times when Kash Patel was drinking so heavily the night before that his security detail had to wake him up or had trouble waking him up in the morning. That only could have come from them. And so now he's trying to put them under the microscope here. And then we're also reporting that he's really in panic mode, that he's afraid for his job. It's no secret that Donald Trump has contemplated firing him, and then he's walled himself off from his senior leadership. Now, his spokesman, Ben Williamson, had a colorful quote. He said, the only people panicking are the panicons, that's a word that Donald Trump coined, in the news media and among Democratic politicians who are neglecting to cover the great work that the FBI is doing. Kash Patel believes he's doing great work. A lot of people in the workforce believe that he's essentially disrupted, if not ruined, the nation's foremost law enforcement agency, that it's going to take years to recover from what Kash Patel has done. And now we wait and see whether Kash Patel can keep his job, Ariel.
Wow, it would take years to recover. He did that much damage? That's insane. All right, I'm going to get to these comments. That's insane. He did that much damage. Please, 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 if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Pretty soon I will be going straight to horizontal. I will not be vertical all the time. I am looking to pivot my content. My channel is based off of celebrity gossip. Okay, so a logical assessment said to believe that the previous FBI wasn't full of corruption that needed to be cleaned up is still to believe Hunter's laptop. Oh, yeah, it was Russian disinformation. I believe that the previous FBI was full of corruption. Yeah, I believe it. Michael said, hold on. If I was Patel, I would wear darkening glasses and shave. He got the craziest look. I don't know what the hell. He looked crazy. Yeah, I need a couple more likes, y'all. A couple more. Yeah, four more. Yes, please subscribe to the channel. Please and thank you. But yeah, I am looking to pivot this war. Look, Trump is looking for an off-ramp, and so am I. That's yup, Mitch. And listen, I want to say thank you to you, Mitch. You've been here. You was the first one in the building. I want to say thank you so much, and you stayed the entire time. Shouts out to you, Mitch. Thank you. But yeah, that's definitely a look of an alcoholic. You know, we all have witnessed or had someone in the family that may have been an alcoholic. Kash, he needs to just go ahead and get him some help. You know, it is what it is. You know, it's horrible. That's horrible. Yeah, thank you. Off ramp is funny. I am looking for off ramp. I'm looking for an off ramp. I'm tired of this war. I was going to do a Epstein update. The women from the prison, they are starting to speak out about Ghislaine Maxwell. They said that you said, I can't read that. You got to delete that. Put PDF, or I would have read it. But Ghislaine Maxwell, a couple inmates have, spoken out and did interviews, and two of the inmates that was in jail with her were literally moved to other prisons because they spoke to the press about the special treatment she's getting. Also, I wanted to talk about the unalivement note that Jeffrey Epstein supposedly left. I don't believe it. His brother said it was fake. So you mean to tell me you guys had this note for all these years? And yeah, I don't believe that shit. Oh, I need 2 more likes. I'm staying on till I get them. I don't believe it. Oh yeah, she's getting clamshell dinners, and so I was going to do an update with that. But guys, I gotta pivot. Like I said, my channel was demonetized behind me talking about political things. And if I want it to be remonetized, I got to shift my content. So, yeah, I feel bad. I'm not saying that I will never hit the live button again to talk about politics, but probably not so much. I ended up getting addicted. I'm watching it all the time. But, seeing certain things and I believe you are what you take in. And I need a break from it because yes, a lot of things that's going on that I don't like, this is bothering me. And this is one of the reasons why I stopped watching the news years ago. So, thank you. Shoot, I learned a lot. Once I stopped working for the bank, I stopped. Thank you, Lady Wiser. Thank you. Once I stopped working for the bank, I stopped watching the news because it was depressing. So I was just like, look, I'm done. And now, that this is going on. Now I'm consistently watching it around the clock from the time that I get up, and probably when I get off this live stream, I'm still going to go look at it. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I never paid attention this much because I choose to, I don't like heavy topics, and I just don't want to be in fear. I don't want to live my life in fear. I got a kind of like a free spirit, and I want to keep that. So yeah, I stay away from stuff like that. You said change subject on anything. Ah, thank you. But you said you gonna still show up for your girl. I need 2 more damn likes. I can't believe this. Plus, I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's starting to drift off. At one point in time, I used to have maybe one time I got up to 1,000 people in the chat about what's going on. I think people are sick of it themselves. Like at first it was like, yeah, what's going on? And now everybody's just over it. It's the same shit over and over. We got a deal. Oh, we don't have a deal. Like, guess what, bot? You gotta go. Hold on. And I can't even. Oh, you're on what you call it. What's up? I forgot y'all. I'm streaming on Twitch. This is a person from Twitch, and I ain't even over there. So you said it hurts the soul to see all of this hateful news. It does. It really does. So eventually I got to pivot. And then I said, once I got to 4,000 subs, that I was going to go straight horizontal, because the vertical world, you get anybody. And to be quite honest, it's hard to get fan funding from the vertical world because these are just people just stopping through. Some of them will sub to the channel. A lot of them won't. You see how many times I had to ask them to hit the like. You said the mainstream media has run the Trump bashing in the ground. I agree. And I'm over it. I'm over it. Oh, I love you too. You said still great entertainment. We love Yolanda. I love you guys too. I do. For the ones that's here consistently, absolutely. Seriously. But yeah, I'm burnt out. I'm like literally burnt out. There is no changes. Both sides. It's all about ego. Yeah, and I'm just over it. And I think the more that I watch, the more upset I become. And I don't want to be that way. I'm not a young girl. What up, Todd? What's going on? Thank you, Mitch. And that's what I want to. That's it. Listen. You don't have to agree with me. When I come on here, I feel like I said, I'm telling you guys what I see through my eyes, and I'm explaining it the best way. Am I politically correct? No, I'm not. I'm not this connoisseur of political information. No, I'm not. There's a lot that I don't know. But the best way to describe what I see and how I feel is the way that I'm doing it. And it's just messed up because I'm penalized for that. I'm penalized through YouTube. You know what I'm saying? By doing it the way that I'm doing it. But I also said once I start something, I'm going to finish it, regardless, you know? So it was a small price to pay. I'm over it. And we're going to keep pushing. But eventually I have to pivot. Or I'm going to stay where I'm at. As far as, you know what I mean? Monetization. So, you know, my celebrity gossip is on point. I do that as well. But I want to be honest with you guys. This right here, I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing people voice their opinions. I love to see people conversating with each other in the chat. I feel like I got my own little small community. So I feel good about that, you know. And I've tried to do other things, but I don't get the crowd that I get here. I like the diversity of it all. I like the couple of people that did come up. It was, you know, diverse. I had one guy from the Middle East. I had Arms that came up here with a diverse opinion. I can't remember the one guy that came up here. We had a good conversation. I can't remember his name. I had a couple people come up here, you know, and I feel like I'm open to hear anybody's opinion because it may change my mind on how I feel about certain things. So I'm always open to that. I am, Todd. You said keep pushing forward no matter what happens. That's all you can do. And I am. I am. I would love to do this full time at some point, you know? But I got to get to the point where I'm able to be monetized to be able to do it full time. You feel me? Either that or hit the lottery and you know what I'm saying? For millions. That's the only way. And I don't see that happening. So I got to kind of clean up my channel. And it was quite discouraging being as though that I was monetized and it was almost for 4 months and I never received not one payment from them because the first 2 months I didn't meet the threshold. So yeah, four payments and I was on the brink of getting my first payment and not to be able to get that. I was crushed. I'm not even going to lie. I don't even think I went live that day. And I cried. I'm like, all of my goddamn hard work. Are you serious? Are you serious? Who do you know that's under 4K subs to get 100,000 views on a live stream? They penalized me for that. It's wicked. And the thing of it is, they did this to thousands of channels. Thousands. I'm on X. I have taken my talents over to X and I'm starting to do Twitch. But yeah, so in X, they run advertisements. They don't pay like YouTube, but something is better than nothing. Oh, very intentional. And they're very broad. I started a petition. And I'm getting quite a few signatures. It breaks my heart to see people with over 100K subscribers demonetized for inauthentic content because of a bot. They are running bots. So anything that a bot see as basically a template, a pattern, they are demonetizing these channels. And that's not fair because people put in time and dedication. I don't use AI. Now, I might use AI for maybe my thumbnails, help with my thumbnails, and that may be it. But because YouTube put it under a broad description, they don't tell you what you're doing. And then they say edit and delete whatever. You don't know what you got to edit or delete because they don't tell you that. So they basically set you up for a failure, and it's getting worse, gang. It's getting worse to the point where I've seen multiple videos of creators that have been on here for years, big YouTubers, way bigger than me, that's been demonetized. So it's insane. Yo, did y'all see that footage that the administration released on the UFOs? It's insane. I need one more goddamn like. Somebody, one more person, hit the damn like, please. What? What? But you know, I always say, oh, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break. Keep y'all notifications on. Because if something happened, I'm going to have to go live to talk about it. I couldn't wait to come back to tell you guys about Pakistan because I was baffled how Operation Freedom didn't last the full 48 hours. I'm like, there got to be something behind this. And sure enough, I found out after the live stream what was going on. So I'm like, I got to go back. I got to talk to them. So you said, you think? Listen, Lady Wiser. I have a partner, my bro. He has a channel. He does talk. He talks about, you know, the president, Epstein. We talk about celebrity things and we talk about the war and stuff like that. But he's more of a conspiracy theorist. And he believes in that UFO stuff. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be going live about it this week. You said, I'm sitting in my UFO right now. Come get me, man. This world is too crazy. Come beam me up, man. Come get me, Mitch. I'll give you my address. Come get your girl. Let's see. You said from 10 till 6. Yeah, I believe that. Pilots have seen the unbelievable. So you believe in them? You on your way? Please come get me. This world is crazy. Mitch, I know you would come too. Oh, I'm at 103. Thanks, guys. Whoever's out there to hit the like, thank you. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. You said we're not supposed to believe everything. You said these bywords for military operations is childish. Yeah. You said they don't like what you're talking about and covering on here. That means you're telling truth and rubbing the establishment the wrong way. Then keep it up. Yeah, that's what I believe too. I really do. And it was so crazy how it went down. I don't know if you guys have ever seen my brother coming here, C-Dove. He got the channel We Beat You. He called me. He said my channel was demonetized. And I said, no. I said, we got to fight this. And I swear, we was on the phone and no more than maybe 5 minutes, I got the same email. And I said, bruh, this is insane. And the next thing you know, we went on X and there was hundreds of people. Hundreds of people. I was like, this is crazy. So it was a lot of people that was talking about political issues. So, but yeah, you said, hell yeah, I'll come get you. Wait, we can't be the only ones in the entire space. Come get me. Come get me. For real. Oh. All right, y'all. Y'all know I'm 2.5 hours in. I love y'all. I really do. I love my audience. I do. And now I'm about to go on a guilt trip because I told you guys this was my last live stream. So guess what? Keep y'all notifications on because my black ass will probably be live tomorrow. I appreciate you guys too. You said, remember first words was that I was in the military during Desert Storm. I never been ever so scared in my goddamn life. Seriously. You know, there was a rap group from the early 90s that said, fight the, Public Enemy #1. Yeah, Public Enemy. Yeah, you know I know that. You know I know that. But, yeah, y'all. So I'll probably go live tomorrow. My guilt is going to get to me, knowing that I have an audience. And it's so crazy because me and my bro was like, we ain't going on F YouTube. And I was like, nah. I said, I have an audience. I got people that love me. I was like, I can't do that to them. I said, everything else, it'll fall in place. And I had to tell him, you got to go back on. I said, it'll fall in place and we'll get there eventually. What up, Mike? So, you have a good night too. You said, yeah. Most of the platforms that were censored were for bashing the previous administration. YouTube has never shut down Trump bashing platforms. No, that's not true. That's not true. Trust me. I know a bunch of people's channels, and some of them did get their monetization back. I know you got my back, Mike. You always do. You're close to me? I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Come on, man. I'm waiting. You said keep on fighting the establishment. I am. I'm going to keep it real. That's one thing. I cannot not keep it real. That's part of my problem. That's part of my struggle. My dad used to say, fake it till you make it. I said, nah. I never fake it till I make it. You could flirt, Mike. It's all good. EJ said no flirting. You in NYC. Oh, we're not that far then. Stuff. All right, y'all. I got to get up out of here. It's 1:17 a.m. I love y'all. Keep y'all notifications on. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Shouts out to all my beautiful mods and subscribers. I'm out.
It's Yolanda The Great. Sip on me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's Yolanda The Great, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's It's Yolanda The Great, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea.